on this. I did it. Good. Okay, I'm actually recording. Okay, so for those of you who are looking at the recording, I said I got you. I always forget. So this time I remembered. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Because I did pray. Okay, there we go. Okay, the name of the class is How to Get Funding Ready. And some of you attended the class I had 2 weeks ago, which was called Are You Funding Ready? Are You Funding Ready was the beginning where we just went down the line of these things I'm going to go more into today. So that was the beginning class. I usually teach that one and then teach this one. How to get funding ready. Like I said, it's going to go into the things that you need to have, that I feel you need to have. My experience shows you need to have to help funders give you some money. They want to, for real. Most people don't think so, but they actually do want to, because they get their funding based upon if they can give the funding away. You know, it looked like DC was shocked that we could actually find and prepare people, because I did train them, the people we gave the money to. I had to train them on how to receive money. And so, and teach them how to write a budget. I had to do, we had training sessions. It's called technical assistance. We provided technical assistance to those nonprofits so that we can give them $100,000. So, but most funders are not going to do that. They're not going to train you how to get their money. The government does. The government has a class, but they read through the stuff so quickly that you're still left. Like my book is, I got my 501c3, now what? That I found people doing this even after we leave the government thing. Now, because I'm just very strategic like that and been in it so long, when I left, I knew what I was going to do. But people were calling me and I had a job. And Brenda's like, you can't work for them. We pay you. They want, you tell them, okay, $5,000. You know, she said, if I find out you helped somebody and you didn't charge them $5,000, then your job is in jeopardy, because that's a conflict of interest. So how to get funding ready. Why should you even seek funding? Totally up to you. You never have to get funding from any government entity, any foundation, because there are people who totally started their nonprofit, like you said, Minister Wiggins, because it's just in your heart. It's what you called to do. Is you just do it because you do it. You can go forever like that and still do good work. You will still touch young ladies. You never have to ask anybody for anything. We have people who just have a lot of money. So they took their retirement and did that. They, you know, and of course, to get them a kickback tax write-off. If you're funding a nonprofit, that's why people start foundations a lot of times. It is on their heart, but a lot of times it is financial. So if you can show that you put out those 401k, those are taxable. Those are taxable, but if you can show your giving, now I think we have to have at least 12,000 to itemize. I think that's what it is now with the government. But if you are tithing in your church and doing all this, then you can at least break even. I don't have any kids, so I stopped breaking even and started giving money back to the government. So we had to go see the financial, like, give away more money. Do this, you know, she showed me making more donations, increase your you know, increase your giving to great causes. I'd rather do that that's just me, than to send it back to the government. I'd rather do that. So you can do that. You never have to seek funding if you don't want to. There are nonprofits who don't have a 501c3. You can just get established in your state and become an incorporated nonprofit in your state and never go after the 501c3. It just means you're not tax deductible. Some of the benefits that come with a 501c3, you don't go after. But there are many people who do that, especially people who start ministries. They just do it because they do it. From 2011 to 2015, I did not seek funding, but I gave away food every Christmas, gave away toys every Christmas, gave away food every Thanksgiving. Just me and a group of women. We just did it. some from East Friendship, just friends from East Friendship. Me, Santa and I just did it because we did it. It wasn't for, and plus me being tied by a non-compete agreement, I could not do it too, but it didn't matter. I still did it. But what are some of the benefits? Why would it be beneficial? Because it increases your bottom line revenue. It increases your bottom line revenue, and you can expand your programs now. If you did get out of your own pocket, you can now expand your programs. And if you can expand, you don't have to turn anybody away. Because although I would do like 5 families, what about that 6th family? You know what I'm saying? So you can make a greater impact with more money. Let's just be honest. You just can buy more with money. You can increase your credibility. When funders hear about you, it actually does affect your credibility in the community, even if it's just to get access to different things, connecting with other nonprofits. Like you said, Minister Wiggins, nonprofits that are already in existence, connecting with them. If they hear, oh, girl, the government gave her a grant, they just feel better about you. Like, well, if she passed their muster, oh, she must be all right. She's not a crook, so they're more willing to bring you in on their proposals. And emergency readiness, which is you, Jimmy. Emergency readiness. Things happen, as we know, and sometimes we want to jump and help people, but we may not be have the funding that we need to do that. And it just makes you feel bad that you can't even help. At Katrina, I wish I had a lot of money, but I didn't. So next, this is the, now that if you decide that, okay, that's worth it for me to try to get funding, these are some of the things you're going to have to do to get funding ready. Your first one is have your 501c3. If you plan to seek funding from donors, private foundations, corporate foundations, or government, be it local or state. Federal is hard to get. You'd have to be in business so long, but or state, you do have to have a 501c3. You have to have the 501c, because there's other ones too. But 501c3 is my specialty, and it's kind of the one that's suggested. That's usually the one they ask for. They will accept others, but this is kind of the one they ask for. And before you can get a 501c3, you do have to be incorporated in your state. The federal government will not look at you until you are already established in your state, because the state has done some of the work for them. Is this person a crook? Is this person, do they steal from nonprofits? So you can't get your state INC until they check you out with your social security number. So some of it is done already for the federal. So some of you on here already have that. You've already done that, but you do have to do that part. Do you have a business bank account? When you get your EIN number and your INC from the state, you should open a bank account. Nobody wants to give into somebody's personal bank account. They don't want all these funds mixing in. They don't feel like paying your car note. Unless your car belongs to the nonprofit, they don't want you buying yourself a jet. They don't want you, so they need a whole separate bank account, because they may just ask you for a copy of the statement. I just had one of my nonprofits that the auditor has asked to pull that, because some funders do require an audit. So you have to have a separate bank account, can't go into your bank account. I've seen people submit, and I ask for the bank information, is Sally Sue Lynn. Nope, Sally Sue, you won't be receiving funding. We will not put money in your bank account. And not that we don't trust people. Let's just be honest. Money come in, money go out. We don't know who money you're using, right? Next, do you have a board of directors and capable leadership? Funders will ask you for a copy of your board list. Now, most of the time when we file for a 501c3, we just pick some people we know because they're easy. I did the same thing. We just want the 501c3. To get the 501c3, you have to have 3 positions filled. First one being a chair or president. Second one is a secretary and or admin. And the third one is a treasurer. Somebody has to be watching the money. If you ever want to be paid by your nonprofit, then you cannot be on the board. You can be a board member, but you can't be in those positions. You can be a board attender. You can be on the list, but you cannot be a decision maker. Remember, the board is your supervisor. They can fire you. You can't get fired from your nonprofit. So they don't have to keep you. Your nonprofit belongs to the government. It does not belong to you. That's the difference between a for-profit and a nonprofit. It does not belong to you. You get to say, I get to say in Deborah Dunstan and Associates, Dr. Deborah Nonprofit Solutions, who work for me, who don't, what I do, I get to do that. And I'm responsible for it. In a nonprofit, if your board see you acting up, they can get rid of you. They there on the government's behalf. And the government say, what, you thought you were going to not pay me taxes for all that money and I now have no oversight over you? So same thing. Do you have a clear mission? I tell people all the time, here, I want to advance this because I have some writing. Okay. Do you have a clear mission? Your mission should answer the questions like I told you guys to do today. Who? Should answer who, what, why, where, when, and how. Now the four that I say, the five that I say you really should have is who are you? What do you do? For whom do you do it for? That's the who. And how do you do it? And then why? The who you are is just introducing yourself. We are Healing and Empowerment Ministry. What do? We provide trauma-sensitive support. To who do you provide it to? To those who have been through sexual trauma, domestic violence, and human trafficking. How do you do it? Through programs and services and workshops. Why do you do it? So that they can heal and become productive citizens in society. That's what my thing is. And you need to make it like an elevator pitch. Nobody wants to hear a long drawn out story. You may wonder why I asked you guys to introduce yourself. I was listening for, and some of you did really well. When you finished, I knew who you were, what you did. But what funders look for most is why. We don't want it because it's a good feeling, because it's needed. Sorry, that's in your needs statement, but I need to know what is the outcome, because I want my money to do something that's real. Your outcome must, and that's what we're gonna, your mission must, your programs must serve something in the community. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later. It must serve a need in the community. I have a lot of people, especially spiritual people, I'll just say spiritual, because I even have people, it doesn't just mean Christian, but nonprofits don't care if you know Jesus. I mean, funders don't care if you know Jesus. They don't care if you saved. People need to hear the word. Okay, good, start a church. Churches don't get grants. So they can Jesus all they want to. They can Buddha over there. They can Allah, because I have clients of all religions. And I even tell the spiritualist people, they don't care if your chakra is in alignment. They don't care. People need to get their chakras in alignment, and that's fine. I call them soul points. People need to get their chakras in alignment, and they just need to heal. Woosah. Well, we don't care. That ain't gonna help. What is that gonna help? Maybe you need to partner up with somebody who does mental health, because we care about that. We care about behavior health, mental health. We care about those things. Chakra is not going to get funding, but you can do chakra. Just don't ask us for money. Now I'm talking for the funder. Just don't ask us for money. Do your chakra. And you can go to the bank and get a loan. He ain't going, you can shop, you can Jesus, you can Buddha, you can do what you want to. Just pay me back my loan. You know, so when you're trying to get funding in a grant, you have to do something and to meet a need. That's number 5. The programs have to be relevant to the needs of your community. Does this, let's just say if they were going to fund, I'll do my religion, they're going to fund some Jesus. They'll probably ask you, well, then why didn't you start a church and get tithes and offering like everybody else? Let's just say you're going to fund the chakra healing. Well, then why don't you just get a business loan and open up a massage parlor? I mean, why are you bothering me? So, but your program have to be something that's relevant to the community. It has to fill a need, help the special, the underserved, which is considered seniors, low income, minorities, those with disabilities, healthcare industry. We know a lot of people don't have healthcare. They really fund health, education, those kind of things. Has to fill a need. Number 6, do you know your numbers? Do you know? I'm telling you, people rarely know their numbers. That's a lot of the times why I had to put people in file 13. Great programs. Their need statement just says, there's really a need in my community because this happens. Well, I need data to back that up. I bet I can get somebody, what did they call it, a debate team, to argue the other side. When we closed DC campaign, when DC campaign started, DC campaign to prevent teen pregnancy, when it started, there was a need to prevent teen pregnancy because we were like undeveloped countries. Everybody's just getting pregnant everywhere. So teens getting pregnant. When we left, they asked us to cut it in half. We cut it in half. They said, wow, that was good. Can y'all do that again? Cut it in half again. Wow. They didn't ask us to do it the 3rd time, but we stayed in business and we brought it down to it. We started out at 152 pregnancies per 0.2 pregnancies per 1,000 girls. And we brought it down to under 20 pregnancies per 1,000 girls. Will it ever just go away? That's why people start pulling their funding out, because they considered it solved. DC campaign is now listed in the National Archive as a teen pregnancy program to be replicated, and teen pregnancy prevention program to be replicated. And also at the Martin Luther King Library. All of our files, everything that I've written is in the Martin Luther King Library now. That can be used nationally because it worked so well. But once the need was gone, guess what? And we were fine. I mean, the founder was ready to retire. DC felt there was no need for that particular program in their community. It was the only program totally focused on teen pregnancy prevention. That's all we did. Our youth program was about prevention. So that's all we did. And so it was the only one in Washington, DC, and now they felt no need for it because you got other programs doing other things that prevents pregnancy. It's just not their only focus. Like your program, Minister Wiggins, because you're in Washington, DC, your program, that program you're running, we found that those type of programs actually do help prevent pregnancy. So is there a need? Do you know your numbers? Do you know how many teen pregnancies happen every year? Do you know how many kids drop out of school every year in your area that you're focusing on? Do you know how many hungry people are out there? How many times do emergencies happen? Jimmy, how many times do you know those numbers? Marlon, do you know how many people go blind each year? There are numbers out there for everything. Do you know how many people end up homeless because they go blind? Do you know how many, Talina, we've done your numbers because we've written your, I researched your numbers and they're in your proposal. But do you know your numbers? That's what we're looking for. Can you imagine if a funder had to look up everybody's numbers? Which is what I do when I write your proposal, Master. But But we get all these things. I can't go get off of this and go over here, get off of getting the money together and go look up your numbers for you. I would rather just put you in file 13 and move on to somebody who took the time to know their numbers. You should not even be starting a nonprofit if you don't know there's a need there. And the numbers is what show the need. Number 7, are you already doing the work? That's what I told you, Minister Wiggins, that you're doing. You say, I don't even have a 501c3. I'm just doing it. And you have been doing it for years. All that goes on your proposal master. They will look at you as almost the expert, which is what happened to Brenda. She was funded coming out the gate for DC campaign because she had worked at Planned Parenthood, the rec department, working with youth. She had done all of this, but it was paid positions, but she had done all of this and all the volunteer work she had been doing in the community because she had 3 teenagers. And none of them had a teen pregnancy. All their friends, never a teen, all of them went to college. Now, this is stuff she was doing just out of her house, out of the goodness of her, just because she wanted to see this happen for her teens. But her house was the communal house for the teens. And she taught them stuff. All the stuff she's written, she's a writer. So all the stuff she's written about that, just little documents and stuff that she shared in newspapers. At her church, she spoke on. She wrote a program called Hope for Youth, Faith in Youth. That was a teen pregnancy prevention program for churches. She wrote that before she was working at Planned Parenthood at that time, I think. She was just doing this on the side with no name, no nonprofit, no name for it. Just, I'm a parent, my kids gonna go to college. That's who she was. And the government saw this, pulled her from Planned Parenthood and said, how much would you need? That was Mayor Anthony Williams, I think, or maybe Barry first pulled her. How much would you need, would the government have to give you to quit your job and come run a program? That program that you're doing now, can I pay you to do that? That you're doing out of your house, can I pay you to do that? Because she had been on television and all this stuff of what all she was doing. So you need to be doing the work. You need to be known for doing the work. Otherwise, I don't even know who you are. All of a sudden, I just got a proposal on my desk from some unknown person that said that they want to do this. Good. Oh, praise the Lord. Not enough for me to give you my money. I tell people all the time, imagine your kid came up to you and said, I want to be a rap artist. All I need is $10,000. Mama. And you love them, daddy. And you love them. Are you going to get them your $10,000? They ain't got no business plan. They ain't got no budgets. They ain't got no nothing. You just going to get them $10,000. It was my son's $10,000 from his college fund and he wasn't getting it. You didn't came back home from college and now you want to be a rap artist and you expect me to give you the $10,000 out of your college fund. I don't care if we saved it for you. Oh, well, you're going to have to prove something to me, buddy. So think about that. You're asking somebody who don't know you, don't love you, to give you $10,000, even $2,500. Would you give your kid $2,500 out of your bank account right now, or your nephew or your niece without a business plan? I'm not giving you $500 without you showing me where you're going to go use it. I'm just not, because I want to see something. Show me you even know how to do it. I done bought enough music instruments that you put to the side. They're your funding over there. Used to play drums, now you play the piano. We bought a piano and put it at grandma's house, and now you don't even play the piano. Not anymore. Do you have efficient operations? What I mean by that, do you even have the systems in place? If I gave you the money, do you even have some volunteers that can help you? Now, I run my nonprofit by myself, but I just built a pretty good board that can handle some of it. So if they gave me funding, I do believe that by me doing less of the consulting that I do, that my nonprofit will be fine. Because I'm pretty good at each one of the things, that even if I didn't find a volunteer, because I'm telling you, volunteers kind of hard to find. They like to do stuff, but are they consistent? Do you have people in place? Do you have transportation? Because I was going to be given a grant to do a mobile library, because literacy is my specialty, trauma literacy, affecting trauma through literacy. I use books to get kids to, calm down. I teach parents how to read to their kids. So I'm doing two things. I'm increasing their reading scores, but at the same time, it has been shown that family child-parent relationship actually helps kids through trauma. It affects them emotionally. So doing two things. So they asked me, do you have a van? I had to turn that money down. I wasn't ready. What did I apply for that for? I wanted the money for the books, because I give away free books in my program to kids. I help build home libraries. But you see, I didn't have the efficient operations when they came back to me and said, do you have a van? Because we want to give you a whole bunch of books, but we want you to be a mobile library. We don't want the kids. These kids are poor. They don't have cars. Their parents not going to bring them over there. That's the issue. Why would you apply for that? And I felt like, that was in Maryland, in Prince George's County. I had no van to take the books around. I was willing to put it in my car. I would have taken them in my car, but they wanted the kids to actually be able to come on, those reading van things that go around. They wanted me to do one of those, and they wanted to fund the whole thing, except buying the van. They were providing the whole library, some learning toys. Man, I wish I had been ready. So make sure that whatever you're applying for, you are efficiently set up to operate. Most of them are not going to buy you a capital piece, which is the car, the van, the food truck. I have a person, Blessings on Wheels. It's the food truck for the homeless. We started her nonprofit. She takes the food to the homeless people. That's what she wants to do. That's what she's doing. Churches have been doing it, taking sandwiches out there, but we take it in cars and stuff, which is, if you're taking something hot, it's probably not legal. But she wanted to do it the legal way with a food truck, where you have something on there that can monitor the heat on the food and all that. But she doesn't have a food truck. So I did have a funder, but she hasn't yet gotten a truck that she has had converted to a food truck. So now she's trying to find a for sale food truck, and she's going to fix it up. Now you can have a capital campaign to do that. You have a question? Write it down. We're going to answer all the questions at the end. We're going to get through it. Do you have a implementation plan? Your implementation plan is how you're going to do it. Remember, I told you to address that. How you're going to do it? Are you going to do workshops? Are you going to do, we always want to know how you're going to do something. I can't just say I'm going to help kids learn. Well, how you going to do that? Well, I'm going to give away free books. I'm going to teach parents how to read to their children. I'm going to hold reading workshops for the reading enrichment workshops for the kids, all of that kind of stuff. Do you have an evaluation plan? How will you know you're successful? How will I know that my money did something good? You got to have an evaluation plan. You have to have an evaluation plan. Do you have an outcome plan? What will your money, what's the outcome of people getting healed? That's the why in your mission statement. They can become self-sufficient. When people heal from trauma, they start to do better psychologically. Therefore, they can get jobs. See, I have to have an outcome plan. What happens to the people who go through my program? We want to see that in your funding, in your proposal. Do you have an organization, or remember the budget I told you you used to get your 501c3, that 3-year projection budget? That's just for that. If I'm giving you money, I want a real budget, a real proposed budget. I want to know that you went out and searched. How much does it cost to get a building? How much does it cost to do this? I want you, how much does it cost to lease a building? I want, that's why I say organizational, that's that 3-year plan budget. But do you have program, but something that you really can present to me that shows how much it's going to cost you? So it's easier to get funding for programs than it is for general operations, because it's easier to follow a program than to follow a whole organization. I may only want to pay for food you're giving people in my community or in my state. Just like DC campaign, we only did DC, and DC funding only pays for DC. They don't do Prince George's County. They don't care what we're doing over in Prince George's County. Their money, they want to stay in their state, in the district. Maryland, there's Prince George's County money that comes from the county. They only want used in Prince George's County, Maryland. They don't care what you're doing over there. That's why I say program, but program money is easier to find. We don't want you doing we don't give general operations. It's hard. DC campaign was drawing general operations because we only work in DC. But it's hard as a program, as a nonprofit organization, to get general operation funds because we don't know where you're using it. I need to be able to follow my money. So if I'm going to pay for emergency food in my community, I don't want you using that going to no Hurricane Katrina. What they got to do with my people right here in my community. So you have to look at that. That's why I say have programs. And Talina is very well set up for that. Her programs, we broke them down. I broke it down like different funders. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, you have to break them down because we may only want to go focus, laser focus. Laser focus. I would say like in what's the name of the county in? And I live there in Clarksville. I actually won awards in Clarksville. Hey, wait a minute. Yeah, I won awards in Clarksville for my programming. Yep. My nonprofit started in Clarksville, Tennessee. That's why I started Healing and Empowerment. I just remembered that. Yeah, and I won awards in Clarksville. I was only there 2.5 years, but I tried to make a difference. I've already won an award here, and I've been here. I've been here 2.5 years, and I've already won an award here for what I do in the community. But see, I'm strategic. I'm trying to get known. I want people to know who I am. First thing I do is connect to my council people. My stuff is still on, what is it? Mecklenburg, what's the county there? But my stuff is still on record there in Tennessee for Clarksville right now. I checked, it's still on record. I won awards for my premarital program, my trauma-based premarital program that they feel everybody should go through. And if you go through my program in the county that Clarksville is in, you get your marriage license for free. That's how good they feel that it is. So, that's your budget. You must have a diverse revenue plan. Grants can't be your only plan, people. Nobody want to be the knight in shining armor. Don't nobody want to be the gigolo. They don't want to be bailing your organization out of financial chaos. They don't want to be that person. It's usually broken up like this. You got to have individual donors, and those include major donors, which you should be one of them, and your board should be some of them. You should have events, fundraising events. You should foundation grants, corporate grants or sponsorships, government grants, and then others. You see, I got on there fee for service. A nonprofit should make money. When I get budgets, I'm like, so they don't plan to do nothing to make money? What does my nonprofit do to make money? I offer sliding scale counseling to those in need. I offer, why did that happen? You are screen sharing. Why did you tell me that? I know I'm screen sharing. Did something happen? I don't know why it came down. But, oh, somebody wanted to come into the room. Yeah, you should find some kind of way to make money. Think about now, the making of money should be something that aligns with your mission. A lot of times it's books, you know, a lot of times it's books. Like I wrote Getting Free and Staying Free. It's a book about healing. That book makes money for my nonprofit. My sliding scale counseling makes money for my nonprofit. So think of something, because I do trauma. So that's all in alignment. The book, the counseling. I'm trying to think of some more stuff that I can put that makes money for my nonprofit, actually. I'm trying to think of some more stuff that align. But you should find some kind of way to make money for your nonprofit. I say 18%. Some people, I have one nonprofit that she's fully government, like she hasn't gotten a grant. She's fully, her people pay to stay at her house. She has a transitional home. Her men pay to stay there. Some of it is by contract, but her men pay to stay in her rooms. Imagine a rooming house, but owned by a nonprofit. Her men pay every month to stay in her rooming house. Now, what's the nonprofit piece then? If they got to pay to stay there, the nonprofit piece is that they get free counseling, they get free food, they get all of their utilities are covered, they get clothing, toiletries. So she's bringing them off the street. So the same thing you would do in passing out stuff, she do it right in her house. And she can house 8 to 10 men. I think we use one of the bedrooms for something else. So she leased a home, turned it into a nonprofit. It's called Another Chance House of Refuge. And she's taking men from the penal system who are trying to transition back into society. Because she said there was nothing for her son. He had went to jail and there was nothing for her son when he came out. She provided him with connection back to the community. She provided him. So these people get training in a job skill that they can actually get certified in. She bring in the trainer. So that's what I mean. So she has yet to get a grant. Well, we got her a couple of small grants from the local community. And of course her board is giving, because I set her board up. No, she has an intentional board. I taught her how to set up. She set up a session. And I taught her how to get an intentional board. Her board gives. So she has individual donors, which includes the board. She has fee for service. She has events. She has not gotten a foundation grant. She has gotten corporate sponsorships. Walmart gave her a corporate sponsorship. Publix, because most of her food comes from there. She has a small government grant, but only only add up to $5,000. They gave it in 3 pieces. But most of her stuff comes from fee for service. And then she does have a contract with the government for those men who are eligible. They come to her already with 3 months of their rent paid. But that's some program they're in with the government. And she's one of the recipients because she's a vendor with the government. She's a vendor with her county. You know, you can be a vendor with your county. That's how trash truck people get the contracts. That's not the state that comes around to pick up trash. That's a contractor of the state. They're a vendor of the state. So you can do that too as a nonprofit. And that's what I was for Mecklenburg. I mean, what's the name of the county? One of the Tennessee people. I forgot my own county in Clarksville.
Montgomery County.
Montgomery. I knew it started with M. I was a vendor for Montgomery County, and that's how I had to prove to them that I had a premarital program that works. And so they didn't give me money, but they let me be a vendor. So which meant that they sent people to me. So I made money. So when people come to them to get married, they say, well, you know, you can get your wedding license free here in Montgomery County if you go through this program right here. And we vouch for this program. So I was a vendor that they use. And if there was anybody mandatory to parent coaching, I was their vendor. I was the chosen vendor for Montgomery County. But I had to show that. And I did that in 2.5 years. They didn't even know me. And no, you know, I'm not prejudicing, but them white people didn't know me. I had to prove what Dr. Deborah brought to the table. So, you know, so when I go back, I do plan to re-up myself there. So you got to have a diverse revenue stream. And we look for this, you guys. I mean, your revenue plan got to be diverse. What can I go forward now? Okay. And the last thing, the reason why it has to be diverse, because it's your sustainability plan. And your plan has to be your GPS telling how you're going to go forward. We almost I haven't found a larger funder that did not ask for how do you plan to sustain this program? Because if you don't believe in your vision, but you want me to, I'm not going to be with you forever. Even if I give you funding this year, what if you don't get it next year? You're going to tell me people, what you going to say? Well, people just going to have to be hungry then. You know, you don't have no plan for if you don't get my money, you just got to say, see, so what we don't want to happen is people get used to the program. They get used to Jimmy and Tim coming and feeding them. They get used to being fed. They get used to seeing a truck pull up with some barbecue. They get used to this, or they get used to having resources to go, Talina, they get used to having resources for families with children with autism. I just had a baby, I know where to go. Oh, they closed their doors because the government don't get them no money no more. We don't want to see that happen. So unless you have a sustainability plan, I don't even want you, because that's not fair to the community. People would rather not have, you say rather to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. Well, tell the person who experiencing trauma that. Tell the person who depended on you giving them food the last week of the month when my food stamps have ran out and I'm used to coming to you, but you close your doors because you didn't get the government grant this year. You're holding the funder hostage. Oh my God, I got to continue to fund them because then people gonna go hungry. We want a sustainability plan. How do you plan to pay for this if you don't get my funding? How are you planning to pay for this if I didn't give you my funding? If you ain't viable already, I don't even want to give you money. And I tell people when I work with you, your plan should be tell them donors. Tell them donors, because guess who your biggest donor is? If before you let your business fail, guess where you're going to go get the money from? You. Most of the time it is you. Me and my husband, the only one who give to healing and empowerment. I just got another grant from it was for Prince George's County, but they said I did it so well in Prince George's County, they told me to keep the money and do it down here. I was willing to send it back. They sent it to me and I was like, Library Foundation. I was like, I don't even do that program. I don't even live there. And so I wrote them back, and said, I can send the check back. She said, well, do you still help kids? Do you still help kids learn to read so they can enter school with the less of a reading gap? I said, yeah, I do. That's what I do down here. She said, well, keep it. Continue to do the good work that you do. We're a national foundation. I hadn't even applied because I knew I was leaving. And so now I had to ramp up here. I had to hurry up here because now I got funding. I got to prove to them what I used it for. And so now we're teaching financial literacy to low-income minority kids from ages 4 through 7. And it's cute. I found a author here that wrote the book called Kids Love Money. They Just Don't Understand It. And she did a presentation and we did some stuff with the kids. Hard during coronavirus, though, we had to be masked up. And then I give them a free copy of the book. And Yvonne was on our virtual one, Minister Wiggins. So you get a free copy of the book when you answer certain questions. And it's part of my Me and You Too program. So the parents had to answer stuff too. They can be on there too. And Minister Yvonne, it wasn't as easy as we thought, was it?
It was not.
We realized how much we didn't know about
how much we did not know.
We were not taught. I was like, I don't know. But we gave out gifts, and I'll be doing that program in Clarksville. I'll be bringing that with me. I have copies of the book. I bought copies of the book to give away to households. As I said, I build library systems in households. So my great nieces and nephews would definitely get a copy. Those some smart kids. I want them to have financial literacy. We would not have another age of people who don't know what money is. So let me see. I think that's it. We're now on questions. I am going to, okay. You guys can open your mics and ask any questions that you may have. Let me stop my screen sharing. There you go. So go back on any of the ones that you had questions about. I probably can bring up the screen with all the sections on it, so you can see that. That'll help push your questions. Let me, and then I can share it again. That way you'll know what questions you may have. But I'm not going to put it up in the big format because I want to see everything. Can you guys see the areas? Okay. If you have a question about any of them, you can ask your questions now.
I have a question, Dr. Deborah,
Sure. Go on.
about evaluations. So, it's like, how do you evaluate? I guess, is it upon testimonials?
Testimonials are not usually used for evaluation. That's for, and there's two kind of evaluations. Now I'm getting ready to cheat here, y'all. Let me. I'm gonna bring up Selena's proposal master, since she's the one on here. I have plenty. Hold on. I'm going
Okay.
to my other computer. Evaluations can be done in two different ways. Funders look for two different things, because you will have to let them know how you use their money. Like my evaluation I'm using for the Library Foundation, they want to know how many books did I give out. They want to know, what did people know when I did it in-house. They took a money test before we did what you guys saw us do, Minister Wiggins. They took a money test first, and then I gave them the money test after. So you can evaluate, we want evaluations based upon program efficiency, those kind of things. I'm trying to find, okay. Okay. Yeah, your evaluations should cover two types of things. Your evaluations should cover, and there are evaluations that actually are already made. I think I may have put them on yours. Some evaluation suggestions. I may not have, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna read straight from your evaluation plan. The evaluation has to be formative, which is primarily qualitative in nature. Those are those testimonials you're talking about. You know how you go see a speaker sometimes and they'll give you this form to fill out? How was the speaker? Did you learn stuff? They're doing that not only to make their programs better, they're doing that because they may have a funder or a sponsor. And that's to help, you can ask participants about the day-to-day operation of your program. You can ask them about, and those are testimonials, the usefulness of your information, other questions for feedback, for ongoing improvement. So any questions, that's called formation. Those are formation questions. And Talina, when you look at your proposal master, you see I got that down there.
Yes.
And then there are summative evaluations. We look for that too. Summative evaluations are not built on a key. It's all numbers based, all outcome based. We want to know what's, and how you do that. You establish a baseline. I established a baseline in Kids Love Money because they took a test. I can say 50% of the people got 50% of it right. You see what, see how I can do that? I can take those tests and do it all kinds of ways. Only 20% of the people, just from what they wrote in that test, I can do it all kind of ways. Now in teen pregnancy prevention, we give them a pre-test on body parts. You'd be surprised what young girls don't know. A lot of young girls, and we're all adults on here, a lot of young girls don't know they got 3 holes down there. They don't know that the urethra and the vagina are 2 different things. So we get to say that. We get to say only 50% of the girls knew that the urethra and the vagina are 2 different entrances into your body. We get to say that. That's data. So summative is data. Funders care about data. But at the end of our program, 100% of the girls, and I can say this for most of our times, 100% of the girls knew the difference between those and what they do. They knew that the baby didn't come out of the baby didn't come out of your urethra. You see what I'm saying? The difference? They were able to tell us girls, it's like, I don't like that the baby comes where you pee at. They did not know that that whole mound is called the vagina, but the entrance, that whole thing is called the vagina mound, and that there's an entrance to the vagina. They thought you used the bathroom from that. So that's the kind of stuff. That's summative. I can also ask them formative evaluation questions like, did you like the program? How was the speaker? Did you like her information? You know, I can also ask that. That's called summative. We take both, and you should have both. So think about your programs now. What are one of the ways you can do, Talina, is when you have a workshop for parents, you would have a pre-test or pre-screening, pre-evaluation. We do that when we have a whole conference. We have them do a whatever our conference is on. We did a conference on Medicaid. We had some questions that we had, like even just 5 questions that we had them offer. Do you know what Medicaid pays for teen pregnancy? Do you know what, kind of like a multiple choice question, and you don't want them to have to work too much. And then we take those back. But afterwards, after we've had our conference, we give them another test, same test. And then we measure the two. We do the pre and post. So you can do pre and post. Another way is if you ever do attendance, how many meals did you pass out? We want to know how many meals. We always ask if you're doing feeding, how many meals did you pass out? How many people did you feed today? That lets us know if you're successful. If you only feeding one family, I may be giving you too much money. Where that other money going to? If you only feeding one family, I may be questioning. That means you're not getting out there enough. That means you're not letting people know that you're here. I'm going to question you. If I don't see the amount of families you fed January, February, March, April, May going up, I'm going to talk to you about your marketing program and letting people know, reaching the people. You must not be taking your truck to the right places. You must not be showing up in the right places, because there are definitely more hungry people than 10 people in Clarksville. I wrote grants for Manna Cafe Ministries, which is in Clarksville. I was their grant writer, volunteer grant writer, actually. I did that to keep myself in the job market because I couldn't find a job in fundraising down there. But when I came back to DC to find a job, they won't know what you've been doing for 2 years. I can't say taking care of my mama. What they care? They try to look for somebody who know how to do fundraising. So therefore, I always say that to people who are looking for jobs. If you in a position where you don't have a job, great time to volunteer. I was on unemployment when I was in Clarksville, so I was able to do nonprofit work. When my unemployment ran out, I had to go back to work, so I had to leave and go back to DC to get a job. But yeah, I volunteered for them. I was their volunteer grant writer, and they won awards. Won an award they had never won before. And they feed the hungry down there. That's what they do.
I actually volunteered for Manna Cafe back in the day.
Get out of here. You know Sherry? You know them? The Yorks? You know the Yorks? Get out of here.
Mike and everybody, like I used to be there. I used to go up there on Saturday mornings and help prepare breakfast.
Get out. Wait a minute. How long? For how long? I may know you, Jimmy.
I done it. What is this? 2000. It was probably like 2018, 2019.
Oh no, I had left by then. Okay. Yeah, that's where I volunteered too. I went to Sherry's church. And she introduced, no, they were at the church and they introduced me to Manna Cafe, and I decided to volunteer. I was going to that church and loved them ever since. Still follow them. We're all still friends on Facebook. I haven't let them know I'm coming back yet, but oh yeah, the bus. I helped paint that bus they have now. That bus, in fact, I have a picture in front of that bus. I have a picture. It's on my Facebook. It comes up every year. I helped paint that bus. So when you see the Manna Cafe bus, I helped paint that bus, and I will be connecting back to them when I get back. Or maybe I'll be connecting to you, because that's one of the things I love to do is feed the homeless. So I write grants for that a lot. In fact, they probably still have my grant. I told them to use that to copy off of to get other grants, because I know it works. I know Montgomery County well. So that's why I'm kind of teetering between living there again, because I know them so well. But that's where my nonprofit started. So, but yeah, those are the 2 ways that you can evaluate You have to do formative, which is testimonials and how well the program does. And you have to do summative, which is data. Programs have to be data driven, and you got to show a data outcome. How many families did you serve? How many families came to your social events? How many outings did you have? How many? I got to have a data collection. You got to collect data. And a lot of people ask you, how will you collect data? They will ask you that. What's your data keeping system? Excel is a good one. It'll add up stuff for you. Get somebody who knows how to set up a good Excel sheet. Especially starting out, you don't want to invest in some elaborate data system because you don't have the money. We don't like people who spend money on trying to be fancy.
Yeah.
When you start out, do it like a startup. You're a startup. So unless you're going to fund it, just don't ask us to fund it. No. Okay, any other questions? That was a good one.
So you were saying about the companies not wanting to, the funders not wanting to purchase, make big purchases. Before we started the nonprofit or whatever, we raised about $50,000 of our own. And I was thinking about buying a U-Haul truck and turning it into a kitchen.
Wow. That's a good idea. You did that perfectly right. That's how you would do it. That's exactly how you come to me with it. Like, I wish I had done what you just did, because my proposal was so good that they were almost forcing me to take this money to do this mobile book. That you're the perfect person. You're the perfect person. You're going to be going into communities where those kids need somebody who know trauma sensitive. You are a psychotherapist. You need to be the person, and you have a program that teaches literacy that Washington, D.C. has raved about. The Archdiocese has had people come in and talk to you. You've been on the news. So they wanted me to take the money, but you know what I was missing? They didn't do capital campaigns. A piece of thing is capital campaign, and they didn't fund capital campaigns, which means they're not going to buy big items. They're not going to get you a building. They're not going to get you land. They're not going to get you cars, fans. I wish that if I had known that I was going to even try to go for that grant, I didn't expect to get it. I really didn't expect to get it, but I did my best in writing it. I just didn't expect to get it. But if I had, I shouldn't have been going for it. But if I had the wherewithal to already have a van, or at least a used, what do you call them? RV, a used RV, I could have told them, yeah, I can do it. I can do it, because I would have taken my own, like you did. I would have raised my own funds from ministers in the area, from however you raise. In fact, share with, hey, do you mind sharing with some of the people on here how you actually did a campaign to raise that much money? That would go in your proposal. I mean, we would love you. Funders would be like raving. Huh?
I said it was really accidental. I just went to Mayfield and started cooking and giving out food during the tornado, and somebody asked me what my Cash App was, and they started donating to my Cash App. And then I didn't want it to continue to go through my personal financial services. So I started a fundraiser on the Facebook page, and it ran up to about $51,000, because we were there from the day of the tornado, the day after the tornado, until like maybe the 15th of January. And people were just the whole time we was out there. We was giving away.
That is great. Now, so you will probably be able to, did you keep those people's information? You gotta have a data system, you guys.
So the computer, the internet automatically keeps a track of everybody who donated to the fundraiser.
Good, good. What kind of system are you using?
It was just the Facebook fundraiser app that I used.
Oh yeah, that's what I had. Yeah, that's what I use too. I haven't pushed it because I haven't been able to, because of my non-compete agreement. So I couldn't run fundraisers like that because I was running them for my job. Right. But yeah, you're right. That is a great way to raise funds if you need something hard, a capital piece. So you would do the same kind of fundraiser, unless you still have some of that money available. But yes, buy a U-Haul. fix it up. Funders would love you. I'm telling you, funders would love you. Somebody who showed that kind of weather for all. You know what I tell people, and it's not saying people should be in church or whatever. I tell them if they ever had to raise money for a building fund at a church or saw how a church raised a building fund, they do it just like you just did that. If they ever saw a church raise money for if you ever, and they say, I don't know how to have a fundraising event. If you've ever done something at your church, been the head of any ministry, you know how to hold a fundraising event. Because ain't no way you didn't been at that church and y'all didn't have no women's conference, and y'all ain't had no women's dinner, and y'all ain't showed no chicken dinner and no fish dinner. My transitional home has 2 people who went through not her chef program. She brought somebody in. Now they're certified chefs. Now their earned income line now is that they provide, what do you call it? Catering. And the men get paid. Now they're in business, starting their own businesses right in the transitional home. So you can think of all kind of different ways. And I told her, don't be telling me, I don't let her, she don't get the wine, she don't get the nothing. I've seen her from helping her get her 501c3 to quitting her job in a year. So I don't want to hear that. Don't come to me. I talked to her the other day. I said, y'all got cooks up in there. We had the best last summer. We had the best fish fry. The city was asking us, could y'all please have the fish fry again? Could y'all please have the fish fry again? I said, it's cold, but now it's warm. I said, well, y'all need to have another fish fry. They get pre-orders for their fish fry. Them boys can fry some fish. They get the kettle. Somebody even came to them and said, do y'all fry turkeys on Thanksgiving? We weren't set up though. She wasn't set up for it yet. We hadn't gotten kettles and stuff. So people donated us the kettles and the fire thingy. We just weren't set up. But I bet you those boys know them young men can cook. I bet you they could have fried some turkeys. We missed out on that money. They said before we go to anybody else, we rather, in this way, they're actually giving back at the same time they're getting back. You know what I mean? But those was fry some fish. I had to go over there and help carrying just things of fish, but I learned that from church fish fries. I know now they talk about it. We ain't gonna be selling no chicken dinners and we ain't gonna be, but that's basic fundraising right there. People, the one thing people gonna always do is eat. I don't care if they're doing through their belly, sell some Ensure then. I'm always about the fundraising. So if you're ready to start something, I have a young lady, she said, I can't pay for my 501c3. I say, have you ever did chili? I remember Manna Cafe Ministry had chili cook-off. I was around when they started that chili cook-off. I'm having I don't know if y'all ever did hand dancing. That's one of the things I'm going to bring to. I was going to do it here. I don't think I'll get it done before I move back to take care of mom. But I'm having a hand dance off. The bop, the Philly shuffle, Chicago shuffle, I'm even gonna have the Lindy hop up in there, any dance where your hand, all the different,
I'll DJ it for you.
You DJ? We got to plan that. We can share the money. Our nonprofits can do it together.
I ain't looking for nothing.
The Healing and Hungry. Healing and Hunger. Dance off. Step up to Healing and Hunger. Step up for Healing and Hunger. Yeah, baby. That's my area. Fundraising and donor campaigns, those are my areas, really. I mean, I write grants too. I'm an award-winning grant writer, but I love fundraising events. And I tell people all the time, you think you make the money off of the people paying to come. No, the money is made off of the sponsorships. Think of all the people who we can get to sponsor a dance-off. A dance-off. Even record labels want to sponsor something like that. I'll play their record if they give me some money. And I'll talk about them. I'll let them talk about them. I give them 2 minutes on the mic. Hey, the outfits that they're gonna wear. I want clothing stores. When you want some of your clothes on there, I'll have somebody wear some of your clothes and you get to give a commercial and pass some out at the event. I'm gonna sell vendor tables. You wanna be at my event, you can connect to music, dancing, shoe industry. I'm ready now. So think about that. Shoe stores, they would want to sponsor that. You make your money off of sponsorships for events. I had to show
So
DC
we always
campaign
have
that.
designs for t-shirts, hoodies, and all of that to be.
That's called products. That's a line in your, that's fee-based. You should be selling products. You should have t-shirts, you should have books, you should have, and I know Minister Wiggins actually has a business, you guys. She's a editor and all that, and she's a writer. So she has books. So you should have books. You should have, I'm telling you, you guys, you can find funding for your nonprofit. There's no reason for you to only be counting on people to give you grants. This young lady who I mentor, well, I didn't just mentor her, she does pay, but I give her services too, who I'm mentoring from the beginning to the end. Even once I leave, I will still be mentoring her. I'm showing her how to build a nonprofit without writing one grant. Grant gonna be her gravy. Oh, nice, nice. I like that. Make grants your gravy, y'all. Make grants your gravy. Have such a firm fundraising program that grants is gonna be your gravy. Make grants your gravy. Already be doing the work, already be doing the funding, and make grants be your gravy. Yep. Because that's how I'm going to do. I've been running this nonprofit since really 2011 in Montgomery County, moved it to DC in 2013. And my hands was tied. I could not write a grant for my nonprofit because I had a non-compete agreement for the DC area. So how did I run the nonprofit? How did I provide all the services I provided? Why did funders find me? The Library Foundation found me. I did not compete. I had to show it to my supervisor. Look, they want me. I did not ask them for anything. They want me, just like you were sought out by the governor, the mayor, to start DC campaign. The Library Foundation wanted to give me the money because I was doing the work. Just like you, Jimmy, you was out there doing the work and people just start cash apping. What's your cash app? What's your cash app? Because funders know good work. They know good work, but you got to let yourself be seen. You got to let people know that you're doing the work. And so I still have money left over. We're dwindling down now because I haven't done any fundraising, but we're dwindling down now from the money that we have received from people who I hadn't even sought out. Now, of course, because they want to give me the money, they said, write a proposal to match this. And that's like when the other foundation wanted to give me the money to run a mobile library for at-risk kids. I just wasn't prepared. I didn't have my, where is it? I did not have my, it's on here, efficient operations. I didn't have the operations to do that. And Jimmy, get that U-Haul. Start getting it fixed up. Start getting that. That's why I told the young lady, get that food truck and you can be blessings on wheel. In the meantime, don't stop feeding the hungry, because I need to put that in her grant. We need to update her grant proposal master. I want her to still go out and feed them. But really, you're really supposed to have something that can keep stuff hot. So now she just do no mayonnaise sandwiches, because the health department can get you. It's a shame they can, but they can get churches for doing that actually. They just don't bother us because, they need hungry fed. Any other questions? We have 15 more minutes. 10 more minutes, okay?
I have a question, Dr. Deborah. And the question that I have, a board of directors versus executive committee. Okay, for 501c3, must you have a board of directors, or can you have an executive committee, or is it best to have a board of directors and an executive or sub committee? And I ask because usually with committee persons, if you just have a sitting board and then there's the working board also. But if you have a subcommittee, sometimes the committee persons, you might be able to reach more quickly when there's an urgent matter versus trying to get the board together. Could you just talk along that?
Well, to get
versus executive committee, sitting board, working board.
And I'm actually going to teach a free class on that too. or
Okay.
low cost, probably for donations, pay what you can.
Okay.
Because most of you are in here on scholarship today, because I wanted you to be here. I want you to be here. I've looked at the programs. There are people who I invited here. I would like if you guys would give a donation to Healing and Empowerment Ministry. This is I'm trying this out to be one of the funding arms. My for-profit is partnering with Healing and Empowerment Ministry. And so my board came up with this idea. Well, Dr. Deborah, you got something to offer, because I was asking them what they had to offer. You got something to offer. You a specialist on nonprofit. You got a business that does that. So why can't, because these are two separate businesses, two separate EINs, two separate everything. My consulting is definitely for profit. But my nonprofit now gets benefit of it. And I'm making this remember I told you I was looking at other things I could do to get a earned income line. So I added in my nonprofit what's called technical assistance, which actually is a term already. Technical assistance to nonprofits, which is what DC Campaign did for that big grant they got. So I'm going to set Healing and Empowerment up to be somebody who offers technical assistance to other nonprofits, and we would just get paid as a grant manager. And so we'll keep part of the grant as a grant manager. And so I'm going to have these free classes. All you guys are free. One person paid for it, she couldn't make it. So I'm giving her a one-on-one session plus, because she did pay. I said, oh, you didn't have to pay. I was going to let you, but she did pay. And so I'm going to get, and she's been one of my clients. I didn't want my clients to pay. I just wanted a donation from them to the ministry, the youth program that we have in the ministry. So I am asking an appeal for Healing and Empowerment Ministry. I will provide you guys with the link to direct donate to Healing and Empowerment Ministry. So they had me there. Well, why can't you offer low-cost classes? Like I offer low-cost counseling, sliding scale counseling to raise money in the ministry. Why can't you offer low-cost classes to teach other nonprofits and have them just give a donation to the ministry instead of paying you? So I'm doing that. And so, but now the difference is you have to have at least those 3 people for the board of directors. Like I said, you have to have those 3 people for the 501c3. That's government oversight, because those are the people who can fire you. So there has to be a real board. And the reason why the government does that, you're not going to pay funds all those years. People run off with money too much. Yeah. Okay. So they need somebody watching you and making sure that you're on the up and up. Now, of course, you can cahoots with them and all y'all run off, but at least even like that's why in a church, and I hate to keep using church, I am a minister. I am so, but even in a church, you have a trustee board. Mm-hmm. Think of that as the trustee board and the deacon board. They watch the pastor. I was in a church where the pastor was writing checks for, now he wasn't stealing, but he was writing checks. He was pulling checks out of there for whatever he wanted. He was using it for the church, but we would rather we used the money that we had gotten a grant. They have the 501c3. They had gotten a grant to help the community through the outreach, which I help churches start outreach programs, 501c3 outreach programs. And he spent the money on the church. We can't do that. You can't cross money up. And we got in trouble. We had 2 grants from the city. I mean, from PG County, and one from Washington Post. And he was mixing it all up, using checks to write over here and all that. And the trustee board was the one who caught it. That's what they're for. That's what your board of directors is for. So you have to have at least those 3 positions. Even if they're just governing, you could have just a governing board, even if they just the government. You know what I'm saying? That's called a governing board, not a working board. I do have a nonprofit here that they have 7 guys who are on the executive committee, the executive board. They call it an exec. It's 7 of them. Their board, I've never even met. I've only seen them. They did come to one of the meetings. Their board came to the meeting. I called for everybody. I need your board of directors. I need to know they exist because I'm writing this grant and putting their names on here. Mm-hmm. A funder is going to want to know your board, your governing board, which is the one that's the governor, and your executive board. Okay. Your executive board are the people who you can get in touch with more, who probably going to do more. Now, mine, I don't have both. Well, I have adjunct board members who not really even on my board at all. My executive, I guess I could make them because they do probably more of the work than two of my board members, actually. Two of my board members are totally governance. They just watching me like a hawk. They don't want to do no work. They don't want to do, and there's a nonprofit who I'm not on their executive board because I don't want to go to their board meetings. I mean, I'm not on their governing board because I don't want to go to board meetings, but I'm on their executive board. I don't have to go to board meetings.
Okay.
But I'm doing a lot of work.
Okay.
I'm doing a lot of work for her. Because she reciprocates, she is some things she does for me. So we barter. So yeah, you can have both, but you got to have, to get a 501c3, you got to have that original board, those three positions. Okay. That's recommended. You can file for your 501c3 without it, but you will be at some point asked who governing it, who running this ship. They don't want you to just be running the ship and run off with the money. And remember, executive board has no governing power. So they can't fire you. They can't hire you. If the government see you doing something wrong, your operating board can't do nothing about that.
Okay.
They have no governance.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I like that. And then I would even break down into committees. I have her broken down even into committee under the executive board, because I'm not going to do all the lead work, but she has a funding committee that we set up for her. I teach them, they needed to be in here today. And I asked her to have somebody up in here. And I'm going to go back to her and say, what happened to you? But see, they're not governing, so they don't have to. Well, where's your volunteers that are in here that are on your committee for your funding? I know you can't come to everything, but they needed to be here today. They needed to hear this stuff, especially the stuff we're talking about. Maybe that's why. Maybe she's waiting for me to do funding. Okay. Maybe she's waiting for that. Maybe they need to know all her gist of stuff. Maybe they only need to stay on when I am doing a program called, a class called Creating a Diverse Revenue Plan. So maybe she'll have them come to that. That's fundraising and stuff. Okay. So the answer is yes, must have a governing board. And after that, you can build whatever kind of boards you want. She even had an advisory board that don't come to no meetings. They're just somebody she can reach out to. In fact, that's what I'm on. I'm just willing to also train her people to barter for some of her services. Yeah. So any other questions? I'll take one more. It's almost 12:45. I want this class to be 90 minutes, but I'm giving 15 extra minutes just for.
How do we get locked in?
Locked in with me? Yes,
ma'am.
I am going to offer everyone in here, and Talena, you're already my client. You know that you already have your sessions available, but everybody else in here who have not have a complimentary session, and you know what? I got to commend Talena for being here today because she's already my client. She already gets me one-on-one.
And she showed up to support.
She already locked in, but I like people who want to know stuff. I like people who want to know about their nonprofit. My goal is for those who want to, and there's somebody I wish was here today because she really needs this because she has a plan to come off her job too. And I would rather you be ready to do that. This young lady who came off her job and started this transition, I was like, whoa, I ain't say quit your job. We weren't even on that plan yet. We weren't there yet. And she said, well, I feel confident. She has 2 little kids. She said she feels confident with what her savings. I don't ask people what their savings look like. She feels confident that with her unemployment and her savings, that she'll be all right. And her nonprofit is paying her now. Not that much, but we went into the black already. So I'm proud of her. I'm proud of, that's the one who I have the relationship with, where she just has me continuously. And the guys, they have me continuously too. Some of them are already retired and the other ones don't want to quit their job. The other one don't want to close his business down. They're fine where they are. Nobody's trying to come off their job. They're already retired. They started this in retirement. So they're just enjoying the fruits of their labor. But
I've
I
been
will,
self-employed for the last 7 years.
you been what?
Self-employed for the last 7 years.
Get out of here. But everybody on here is going to get a 30-minute complimentary session from me. Talina, you can take that up even if you want to, even though you already have sessions in the hopper. You already
Yes, I
have
will.
access to, you already have
Yes,
access to me. Marlon, you've already had a complimentary session with me, but because you attended this class today, you do get another half an hour. And so that way you can have your questions answered directly. I am going to, everybody on Facebook, because it'll be different for me to copy and paste on Facebook. Marlon, I'll get it to you. Marlon, I'll get it to you. I'll get the scheduler to you. I think you've scheduled with me before. So I'm going to send the scheduler out to everybody where you can get on my calendar for a complimentary session, and we can talk about just your project. And I thank you all for attending today. I am going to stop the recording. Let me stop share. And then I'm going to stop the recording.